In this session, I'm going to show you how you can use EndNote to track your academic footprint. And I'm going to use it in combination with EndNote Online and with the Web of Science. You can use it with other online databases that you can import references from, but there's going to be an advantage if you're using the Web of Science, and you'll see that in a little bit. This session does assume that you have prior experience with EndNote, EndNote Online, that you know how to create groups in your library and you know how to synchronize your library. I have synchronized this desktop library with an EndNote Online account. And if I go over to the Web of Science, which is where I'm going to start in order to get to EndNote Online, I'm going to log into my Web of Science account now. This is the Web of Science account that matches my EndNote Online account. I'm using the same logon for both of them. And that means at the top of the screen here, I have an EndNote button. When I click on that, it takes me to my EndNote Online library, which has all the references and the custom groups that I have in my EndNote desktop library. In EndNote on the desktop, I have a group set up for my articles, everything I've written, and it's divided by the type of articles. I've got the articles where I'm the co-author, the articles where I'm the primary author, my books or chapters, etc. And because I really haven't written any articles, I've used an author I found online, chosen at random, and I'm pretending to be that author for the example in this class. The author is M or MJ Adams. And you see I have all the references where Adams is the primary author. I've already put in all the references where Adams is the co-author, etc. Didn't want to take up time just importing references, which we cover in our standard classes. Then I've set up group sets for each of those as well. So I have a group set for my articles where I'm the primary author. And underneath that, I have some groups set up where I'm already tracking the references that cite that article. I've already imported them. For some of them, I even have PDFs attached. And I can click on one of those groups and I can see how many references are citing that article. And of course, I can always add new references. If I don't have enough space, I can just click on the minus sign here to minimize a group set to show only the group set title. I don't have any books or chapters, and my conference proceedings only has one at this point, so I'm going to minimize those a little bit. And for this example, we're going to concentrate on articles where I was the co-author, and you see I already have some of them showing here. Now, I've set this up to sync with my EndNote Online account, and I've also set it up to manually sync so that if I'm trying to type in a new group heading or something, it doesn't try to sync during that. To set it to manually sync, go to the Edit menu on Windows or the EndNote menu on Macintosh and pick Preferences. And then on the Sync setting, unmark the box to sync automatically. You can always turn automatic syncing back on later if you want to, but when this box is not marked, it will only sync when I click on the Sync button. And I'm going to sync those now. And then I'm going to go to All References, and I want to make sure that all the references in my library are marked as red. I can do that by highlighting all of the references, right-clicking or control-clicking on the Mac, and picking Mark as Red. This is going to help me identify new references that enter my library, and it's going to help me find the duplicates as they're entering. And let's take a look at, I have 13 references by Links and Nikolic here. I want to keep track of that because when I go back to EndNote Online, in EndNote Online, I can click on the My Articles Co-author group. So I'm going to concentrate on just the articles here where I'm the co-author. And then I'll change the sorting order from A to Z to use the time cited information from highest to lowest. Now this is part of why I want to be working with the Web of Science. I've imported all of these references that I could from the Web of Science, and that means there are links back to the Web of Science I'm logged into the Web of Science, and I can see the time cited information for the Web of Science. So I can tell when my article has been cited because that number will increase. And I see that I already have the two where it's been cited 13 times. Those are in my EndNote library already. So I want to work with this one, the reference by Lean in 2006. I'm going to go back to EndNote on the desktop. And in my co-author group, I'll find that reference, Lean 2006, and I'm going to copy the beginning of the title. Then under My Article's Co-Author, I'll go to the Groups menu and create a custom group, and type in the beginning of the title after the author and the year. And I'm doing that because it's possible that I might write more than one article a year with the same co-authors. So if there were two references by Lean in 2006, I want to be sure to be able to tell them apart. The beginning of the title will help me do that. I'm going to go back to the EndNote Online account again. And in EndNote Online, I look for that Lean reference, and I click on the Time Cited link. That's going to take me to the Web of Science and show me that list of articles in the Web of Science, so I can just export them to EndNote. Now you can export from other databases as well, but this is going to help me find those references faster if I use the Web of Science for my original references. And notice that two of them have EndNote icons by them. That means they're already in my library. However, if I was working with another online database and I went looking for all the cited references there would not be any kind of icon to tell me that I already had that reference in my library. So I could mark all the other references here and export all the rest of them, but I'm going to include those duplicates so I can show you how I can get rid of them in EndNote as well. I see that there are 12 of them. That's more than fits on a page, so I'm going to ask it to export these to EndNote by picking Save to EndNote Desktop, and then picking the range of references to export, 1 to 12. If I have the full record option available, I'll select that. Otherwise, it would be author, title, source, and abstract, and I click on Send. Now I'm using Direct Export and I'm using Firefox, so it's going to ask me if I want to save it or open it, and I pick the option to open it. It opens with EndNote, and I now have an imported references group showing 12 references. And notice that they're all in bold, and the dot on the left shows as dark gray. That means they're marked as unread. They're new. I don't want to put them in my new group yet. Instead, I want to go to All References, click on any reference in the list to make the list the active window, and then go to the References menu and pick Find Duplicates. Click on the Cancel button so I can just see the list. And I had no duplicates in my library before I did this because I'm very careful to always search for duplicates and eliminate them. That means I don't want to just drag all of those imported references into my new group. I already have some of them and I don't want to create duplicates. So I hold down the Control key on Windows or the Command key on Macintosh and click on all the references that are not in bold. These are references already in my library and part of another group. I want to add them to my new reference group. So with all of them highlighted, I click and then drag them to my new group. And that means instead of putting duplicate references in my library, I've just assigned references that were already in my library to that new group. That means I want to get rid of these duplicates. So I now highlight all of those, go to the Edit menu, and pick Clear to send them all to the trash. Now the new references in my imported references group are just the ones that were not duplicates of something I already had. So I'll highlight all of those and drag them to my new group. And now my Lean group shows all the references that have cited that Lean article from 2006. course, I can also drag references in one at a time, but for when I'm setting up my sets of groups for the first time, this will make it a lot easier to set up an entire set all at once. And of course, I now want to be sure that everything is marked red. So I'm going to go back to all references to be sure I don't miss anything, right-click, and mark them all as red. By keeping everything as red in my library, it's going to be easy to spot the duplicates. If I want to keep track of all the articles that have cited my papers as a co-author, and if I had finished putting all of them in here, of course, I can just minimize a group, and I see that even with the ones I've set up so far, there are 172 articles that are citing my work where I'm a co-author. So hopefully you can use this to keep track of your academic footprint a little bit better. Remember, you can have up to 5,000 groups and 5,000 group sets in EndNote. So you can also have a lot of other references in EndNote and just use these specific groups and group sets for keeping track of your articles, the articles that have cited you, and your academic footprint. Thank you for using EndNote.